watch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1. Let's start.
Hello, sports fans.
Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by.
Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a very special edition on this Thursday of the JP Peterson Show. As future Hall of Famer Rondé Barber will join us here in just a little bit. Also the Valspar champion, so we'll be talking a little bit of golf with Rondé as well. We'll talk Hall of Fame. We'll talk playoffs. He is an absolute tape gym rat, so I know he's been busting up the Cowboys tape to figure out what the hell's going to happen in this game. So not only will we get great perspective from the future Hall of Famer, but we'll get some X's and O's too, and always fun to chat with Rondé. So he'll pop in here with us in just a little bit, and we'll get to that. We got a great show for you. Casey Hudson's going to join us from the Pewter Report, and she will talk a little Buccaneers and also covers the Bolts. So we will chat some lightning with her as well. But let's get right to it, as we're, of course, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center and the Jeeves Law Group, and we're so proud to welcome in my good friend and future Hall of Famer. It's not a jinx. I always say it. It's happening. The great Rondé Barber joins us up. What's up, Rondé? How are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Looking good. Looking like you're ready to shoot 68 today. I see it.
You understand what you're interrupting. You're interrupting my prep for this 68 that I'm going to go try to shoot.
Okay. And tell me what you texted me, your prep.
Said I've never seen a cheetah stretch before he goes to hunt his kill. So I'm literally a 5 minute before my tea time guy. I'm just messing with you, JP. You know.
Yes, I've seen that warm up. It's like everything else you do. It is very intentional and perfect. Right? Absolutely. Well, this is going to be a fun week for the Buccaneers because it's kind of house money, really. But before we get to that, we'll talk a little Hall of Fame, and then we'll get into the X's and O's. This is your 6 year of eligibility.
Right.
You've been a finalist 3 years.
Yep.
The numbers keep going up. Talked to Sal Pal, who's one of the voters, Ira, talked to many of the voters, and it's just, this really feels like it's the year. And now I know it's hard. How do you handle this emotionally is what I'm saying. How do you handle this?
Well, the answer is always in the bottle of some bottle. I could do that on every week before and after this. It's stressful, to be honest with you, JP. And it's not that I don't feel like I'm deserving. Obviously, I'm a finalist for 3 years, and I think the voters understand what my resume looks like. It's just having them, or getting Ira to get them to believe that I was truly unique and deserving of a gold jacket. And it's hard. There's 15 guys every year that are in the same conversation. So I try to handle it gracefully. You know, last year I was a little miffed, but it's just like John was telling me when he went through his 8 years of waiting. It gets worse and worse every single year that you continue to be a finalist. So, but at the end of the day, you know, you're in the conversation. That's all you can ask for.
Now, I know you play golf with Fred McGriff, do you not?
I do.
Yeah. So, I mean, he just got in after waiting a long, long time, and it had to wait for the special committee that clearly is a lot smarter than the writers. Of course, we know that. Have you guys shared experiences at all? Have talked about this at all?
Actually, no. It's kind of an unwritten thing that you don't really talk about.
All right. Fair enough.
It's not even a jinx thing. It's I don't want to put it front of mind any more than you have to.
Right.
Because you just never know. It's something, put it this way, JP, it's something that's completely out of your control. So talking about it only tends to exasperate your frustration a little bit more. So we choose not to talk about it. I remember I texted him an hour after they announced it, less than an hour after they announced it. And his response was in true Fred McGriff's fashion: "Thanks, brother. You're next." So that's about the extent of it.
So what you're telling me is shut the hell up about the Hall of Fame. I don't want to talk about it. Let's move on, is what you're saying. All right, one last one.
You can spout off my stats and accolades all you want, brother. So just
here we go. So I came up with this little graphic I had to get made because we did this last week. And here's this graphic I put up. It's on my Twitter if you want to see it. It's Barber versus Revis. And by no way are we trying to discredit him at all. He's a Hall of Famer. We know that. I'm just trying to say, okay, if he's a Hall of Famer, can we just look over here for just a second? Just kind of look at the numbers a little bit and compare. So let me just run through this, and you can make your facial reactions because it's stunning to me. It's stunning. All right, we'll start with tackles, which, by the way, is the whole point of playing defense. In case we get lost in all the big plays, tackles matter. You had 1,251, and you also told me by the Bucks count, the post official count where they actually watch the tape, it's closer to about 1,500, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Essentially in line with the position I played, which is very similar to Derek Brooks.
Yeah.
I'm the Bucks' second leading tackler all time. So
Okay.
we did
And he's
very
in the Hall
similar
of Fame,
things.
right?
Yeah, he's
Okay.
Derek Brooks.
Just checking on that. Revis had 496, so 1,251 to 496. Interceptions, which of course he's a corner. You were a hybrid, right? As we know, the greatest hybrid ever. 47 interceptions, 29 for Revis. Touchdowns, which I think is a very underrated stat that nobody really talks about with you. 14 non-offensive touchdown, which, by the way, is the most in the NFL for a guy who was not an offensive player, not a main returner. The three guys in front of you who were defense, but they're Devin Hester, Woodson, and Dion, right? So
Right.
those guys were all primary return guys. You were not. So that's 14 touchdowns. Tackles for loss, 88 to 9. All right, that's a big stat. Sacks, 28 to 2. Forced fumbles, 12 to 4. Passes defense, 197 to 139. Fumbled recoveries, 12 to 12. I don't know how we got so many. Quarterback hits, 18 to 4. And AU, which is kind of a war stat for those, and we won't get in the weeds on this. AU is kind of war, everything combined, 148 total career for Rondé, 110 for Revis. I mean, again, no disparaging him at all, but if he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, what the F are you?
Yeah, it's very similar comparison that you could have made to Champ Bailey when he got in first ballot. I think my only peer kind of doing what I did for my career is Charles Woodson, who was also a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, Ira will make the case next week when they present to each other that some of those stats are just unprecedented, unheard of for a corner. And my 88 tackles for loss are only like 2 or 3 fewer than Brian Urlacher, who was also first ballot Hall of Famer. So it's impossible, and I think this is probably the voters' consternation with me. It's impossible to compare me to anybody because essentially I did something in the game that's never really been conceived of, and so I feel like if you're one of one, you're Hall worthy, right? Devin Hester is a Hall of Famer in my mind because he's one of one. He's the best to have ever caught a ball from a kicker and returned it. Like there's nobody that's even close to him. So if that's the argument, that's the argument. But I like to say that, people think Brooks, Sapp, Lynch, Hall of Famers. Why do we have so many Bucks in the Hall of Fame? Well, the reality is if you put Brooks and Sapp on any other team in the NFL, they're Hall of Famers, right? But because they were unique players. And I just don't think if I'm candidating for myself, that you can say that I am also not extremely unique in what I did. So
do you think if you guys would have won another Super Bowl, say the Steelers have so many from their dynasty team, the 49ers, if you guys had won another Super Bowl, it would be case closed?
Yeah, I think so.
The 99 team obviously was very, very close to doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you start putting yourself in that dynasty category for teams, you have to take notice. I mean, if that's the case, you're probably also looking at Simeon Rice, as a Hall of Famer, just because of his numbers and the impact that he had for us. So I think that matters. We're a small market. I mean, that.
That's the biggest thing.
Right. If we're not winning, nobody's really watching us. If we don't have Tom Brady on our team like before these past 3 years, nobody's really watching the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Just the nature of the league. Success breeds that that understanding really of what's going on with your football team, and we weren't very successful during a lot of my years, as you know.
Yeah, not your fault. All right, let's move on to this game, and you always do breakdowns for the Bucs website, which are very, very informative. I hope everybody's watching them each and every week, and entertaining, I might add. When I look at this game, you don't want to throw out the first game, but obviously these are two different teams, and you've been in this situation where you play a team earlier in the year and then you play them again. So what is different about this Dallas team right now? It seems to me that number one, Dak is been throwing some very uncharacteristic interceptions, bad reads at times, like simple stuff. The pick six last week was really unexplainable for a guy of his experience. What are you seeing from the Cowboys right now?
Well, on offense, they were doing things very simple early in the year, and it's because they had to. They had Cooper Rush at quarterback. They weren't trying to put a whole lot on his plate. Dak comes back, and all of a sudden, it turns into how can we showcase Dak Prescott? I think there's somewhat of a failing in that mentality, because this is a team, obviously, to me, that's built on defense, right? They have great players on offense. Pollard, Zeke Elliott, right? The tight end's actually really, really damn good as well. And of course they got Dak, but the defense is really what set this team apart early in the year. I know they've fallen off a little bit over the course of the season, but they're still a team that dominates drop back pass situations. They have really kind of dynamic players on the outside at corner, even though all of them are hurt except for Trayvon Diggs going into this game. But I think they got away from what their identity was that made them successful while Dak was gone. And now that he's back, they're pushing a little too much. They're trying to force the ball to certain receivers. I watch only a little bit of opponents' tape before games, but I did watch the game last week just out of curiosity after the Commanders beat them, and it was probably one of the worst offensive tapes I've seen all year. They were inept. They didn't try to run the football. They kept putting the ball in Dak's hands to throw it, and he just kept making bad reads and bad mistakes. Now, from a Bucs perspective, you hope that continues. But Dallas is a really talented team. I don't think you can really overlook the fact that they only lost 4 games all year. I mean, that's pretty significant to me, even with the mistakes that they had from the quarterback position. So,
don't need to reset this, but for those listening and can't see the little bar there, it's Rondé Barber joining us here. So when you talk about simple, and it was interesting, Mike Evans said that yesterday. They're a simple team, which I think is a great compliment. When you win 12, you don't have to trick anybody. You just line up and whoop their ass.
Right.
And that's what Dallas has done. And my fear is that they go back to that and they start running Pollard and Zeke. Now the Bucs have been able to have success stopping the run when Akeem and Vita Vea play together. I think this team is 6-1 when those two play together. Right. So they'll play this week. Vita's supposed to be up. So it's stopping that run game, the key for the Buccaneers in this game.
Yeah, and they need to be healthy on the outside too. I don't know the status of Carlton Davis, but CeeDee Lamb's tough to deal with, bro. Obviously, it starts up front with us, but I would say that this defense this year is not as predicated on a stop the run, make them predictable passing situations. We're a little bit different in terms of how we're having to stop people this year. We've given up some gash runs this year, some big, what is going on in our gap control type of runs this year. And at times they've been really good. And then there's the breakout and you're like, what just happened? And the reality is I feel like the defense kind of has worn itself down over the course of some games and in the year. And then they just have a mental lapse. They get sick of playing good and then not scoring any points. That's just me personally talking from a defensive perspective. And they give up a big play, which in the playoffs, it can't happen, right? Those things have to clean themselves up. But as important as stopping the run is, I really think we need to be healthy in the secondary. Carlton hadn't played in 2 weeks. And I think he's our best option to deal with, one of the really dynamic receivers in the league.
No question. And you look at the Bucs offense, and obviously it's been totally predicated on the pass. But the game that they played in Dallas, which I thought was their best performance of the year, they 19-3, but they got inside the 30-yard line 5 times and only got field goals. It was a forebearer of things to come with the horrible red zone this year. But the Bucs moved the ball on them, and they ran the ball for 152 yards. Fournette had 21 carries, 127 yards. And we were saying after that game, okay, this is the Bowls influence. We're going to be a balanced team, and if we win every game 19-3, we're happy, right? This is fantastic. Well, it didn't kind of work out that way because we stopped running the football or couldn't run the football. How do you and we haven't seen the natural evolution of this offense. It's more like, okay, this will be the week. Okay, no, this will be the week. No. So what do you think about this offense going into the playoffs?
I tell you what, JP, I've trained you well over the years. You can speak the game and understand what's going on there, because that's exactly what's happened. I remember in the preseason sitting down with Todd, sitting down with the offensive coaches, and them telling me very specifically, we don't want Tom to throw the ball 45 to 50 times a game. There's going to be some games, and it happened to be the first game of the year, where we're just going to have to go force our will and bludgeon people in the running game. I don't care if we run the same run 3 times in a row, we're going to do it. And in that game, you kind of felt like, the offensive line, the running back, the intention of it was we're going to do exactly that. But then as the year went on, because we couldn't find any success, and on top of not being able to run the ball and not being able to convert third downs, Brady's been off. The receiving core was off a little bit earlier in the year. All you're doing is turn around and putting the ball. I mean, Jake Camarda's our MVP, buddy. And I watched the entire year. We won about 5 games because the punter was really good this year. Yep. And those things matter to an average football team. Well, we're not an average football team. We're a talent-laden football team that has played somewhat average for most of the year and found a way to sneak out some kind of unimpressive wins. But the reality is, when you have the type of talent that we have, you can overcome some of those deficiencies until you get to the playoffs. Now it matters, right? Now it's I like the way Mike Tomlin said it, even though he's not in the playoffs. You're in a single elimination tournament for the confetti. That's all you're doing. You play for one game. And so for whatever it is this week that they're working on, it needs to manifest itself on Monday night, and whether that's running a football against a team that only wants to rush the passer, which Dallas is, or finding a way to get mismatches in the secondary against 3 backup corners. And they signed Xavier Rhodes this week to maybe play this week because they have so many injuries in the secondary. Those type of matchups have to show up this week if we're going to win.
And this is the key to the whole thing. And I love that you mentioned that, the matchups. And this is one of my big issues with Byron or Tom or whoever's directing the offense here, is that we haven't seen enough of that, where you see a weakness in a defense and you just go after it relentlessly and you punish people. We've seen teams do that to us, but we haven't. Yeah. So we got to get those matchups in the situations that we need them: red zone, third down, against backup corners. This is what we thought we'd see against Pittsburgh. This is what we thought we'd see against some of these other teams that were so depleted, and it never really happened. I mean, is that coaching? Is that execution? What is that?
It happened once. It happened against Carolina. Yep, Carolina was in the same situation. J.C. Horn, their star corner, was out. They signed Josh Norman that week. I think he got a couple of snaps in the game, but they had 2 rookies and backup level players in there. And on 3 occasions, they said, okay, our guy, Mike Evans, is better than your guy. I'm just going to throw him the football. Some of those were schemes. Some of those were Brady going through his progression and saying, oh, I moved a guy. Go ahead and get it, Mike. But the reality is, that's what Mike Evans is. That's why he's great. He's bigger than you think he is. He's faster than you think he is. And for some reason, for the most of this year, that hasn't shown itself. And it has to show itself in the playoffs. Like, it's the biggest cliche in football. Your best players have to show up in your biggest players, whatever. Well, Mike Evans is our best player on offense when you give him chances, like we did in week 17 of this year.
Yeah, and all the scheming and everything we talk about these games in the playoffs, and you've been through it all, Super Bowls and everything. It comes down to who plays the best, right? It's some simple. And some days you play good, some days you don't. Your coach has got to prepare you, but in the end, it's guys stepping up and making plays in key situations. I think you made a couple back in the day. If I'm not mistaken. But that's preparation.
Yeah, put it this way. Yeah, what's success? Preparation meeting opportunity, right? Prepare yourself to take your opportunity when it shows itself. That's kind of what I did.
And do the Bucs have an advantage because they've been there, done that, and most of these Cowboys players have not?
I would say so. Tiki and I did do a show every week, and we obviously broke down all 6 games. All 6 games are rematches this year. How about that? That's unbelievable.
Yeah, interesting.
I've never seen that. But yeah, I think they have the advantage. I think it feels like for week 17, dismiss week 18 against Atlanta, but week 17, it finally felt like, hey, this is an identity. We tried to run the ball. It set up some play action passes, and they had some success doing that, right? That is the opposite of how Dallas is coming into this game, losing two of 3, I think, and not generally looking good. They're making mistakes. We, for at least the past 2 or 3 games, haven't made mistakes that have beaten us, that would kind of disqualify you from feeling good about going into the playoffs.
All right, before we get out of here and you go play golf, let's talk some golf. As the Valspar chairman, we got another big tournament coming up here in March. It's a new season, new stars. What do you expect your field to be like? What are you thinking?
Yeah, the field. Great question. The field, the way the PGA Tour is setting up these designated events, we don't really know. I mean, you know this, JP. The way the golf has evolved, there's designated events and then there's non-designated events. The Valspar Championship is right in the middle of 4 designated events. But the way we look at it, our event, which and it is an event, it's not just a golf tournament. Obviously, we have a great concert on Saturday night. Darius Rucker. Been trying to get this dude forever. We finally get him to come play for us. But our field will be our field. We'll get some top players. We'll have our defending champion, 2-time defending champion, Sam Burns here. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another or 2 of the top 20 guys. But then you're really looking at the guys below that, the guys out of the player pool, like the 25th to 100 and whatever. There's some good players in that group, guys, household names that will impact our tournament. But we got some new initiatives going on. We got a skybox on 18 this year, which is brand new to us. We've added some more hospitality on 18. The event's going to be great. And of course, the Copperhead course, I've been out there a couple of times already. Overseas down early. It looks great. So I think we're setting up for what will be an awesome tournament, man.
Yeah, it's become the social event of the year now. Everybody goes to watch the golf also, but just to enjoy everybody, and everybody comes together. It's fantastic. So you can get your tickets at valsparchampionship.com, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It helps to have a great tournament director. Tracy West is the best, man.
She's the best.
I'm her boss, but I definitely work for her. It's not even a question.
Well, listen, you bring the star power, and I also know you work your ass off. Everybody tells me that you work your ass off. You had the most corporate sponsorships we've ever had before, and that's a lot has to do to you and the player field. I know you're out there trying to get players as well, and you bring it. You got Darius Rucker. I mean, what more can we ask? You're doing a hell of a job, like everything else you do.
Thank you, JP. I'll host you when you come out there in March 13th through the 19th for all of you.
We'll be poolside. We'll be poolside Thursday and Friday. I can guarantee you that, partner.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much. Go shoot 68. Take the money, my friend. Really appreciate your time as always and your friendship. Love you, brother.
Thanks, dog. Love you, JP. Be good, man.
See you, man. The great Rondé Barber, future Hall of Famer. Better get in this time, or we're going to have some issues. We're going to have some issues with these people. And by the way, let's get off Ira Kaufman. I see everybody, Ira's got to do a better job. We need somebody else to. No. It's not about that. You heard Sal Pal come on this show and say that Ira is the best at presenting players. So I don't want to hear any of that mumbo jumbo.
And I think too, like the whole thing about the Bucks being a small market and nobody paid attention to the Bucks for about 15 years there. Yeah. It definitely plays a part in it. And sure, we've had this conversation over and over. When people say who's the most underrated, underappreciated player in the NFL, I will always say the answer to that question is Levante David.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, has numbers that are comparable to Luke Kuechly and Bobby Wagner, who we're going to just shoo into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
But Levante David has no accolades to go next to his name. So he's not even probably going to be considered.
And
that to me comes down to playing in Tampa Bay and playing on bad teams.
100%. And here's the other part about it is you look at, and they say, well, they played for a lot of bad teams. Well, think about this. If you're the only good player out there, every team is going to scheme to go away from you. And that certainly was part of what Darrelle Revis did, but he was on good defenses and some good players with the good players around him. But Rondé was like, if you're scheming up against the Bucs and you're like, oh, yeah, we want to stay away from that guy because he's just a playmaker. And he had to go out and find ways to still make plays. Those numbers that I cited are off the freaking charts. They're off the charts for everybody that's ever played, even come close to playing the position. It's nuts.
And I'm a moment guy.
Yeah.
I'm a moment guy. And I think you know exactly which one I'm talking about.
Of course. The biggest moment in the history of the franchise.
I still think it's the biggest moment in the history of the franchise.
And nobody disagrees with that. If you don't know, the pick 6 against Philly to get us finally over the hump and into the Super Bowl where we dominated. It is a bit ironic, though. Freaking everybody had an interception in the damn Super Bowl except Rondé. That's the most ironic thing. He's like, yeah, I did my work last week. You guys go ahead this week.
Didn't even Dwight Smith got 2, right?
Dwight Smith got 2. Yeah. Dexter Jackson got 2. Brooks had the pick 6. I mean, it was, let's go. Everybody put your hand up. But he was a huge part of it, a huge part of it. And obviously in the Super Bowl and dominating in every way. It was, but the fact that the numbers are just so freaking off the charts. I think maybe they're so off the charts that some of these voters look at it and go, oh, he had so many other bad players. He's the only one left to tackle the guy. I mean, come on, Jiminy Christmas. I mean, it's so stupid at this point. And I know every year quote, bigger names come up. And that's kind of why I did the Revis, comparison, because everybody's like, oh, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. No, I'm like, okay, yeah, he is. But look at this dude. My God. So, I mean, he's going to get in, but let's just freaking do it now and get it over with so we can start the party, for God's sakes. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. We're going to hear from Mike Evans. I thought was really good yesterday in talking about this matchup, Levante David. And, of course, we got to give you your lunchtime with Leftwich. It's the best part of the week, right? So we'll do all that when we come back. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group. I've known Scott Jeeves for quite some time, and he's just like us, a huge college football fan. He loves his Gators. In fact, he sponsors our Gator Report every Thursday at 11 o'clock with Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com. But he's not just another PI attorney. He is a ferocious advocate for his clients. Scott Jeeves is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator practicing in Tampa Bay for over 30 years. He is an AV preeminent rated civil trial lawyer and certified circuit court mediator. Folks, these designations are not just given out. They're given only to the best trial attorneys. But more than anything, Scott takes these cases personally. I've heard it from his clients. He's a fighter you want on your side. Insurance companies hate it when they see you're represented by Jeeves. He's just different. 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell him JP sent you.
Now is the time to make sure your home insurance is in order. In the last year, many of us have made improvements to our homes. So call the folks at Italiano and discuss these upgrades to make sure you have enough coverage. According to a recent report, almost 64% of homeowners don't have enough insurance on their home, which is their most valuable asset. Also, a great time to make sure you have flood insurance. Even if your mortgage company does not require flood insurance, your home could still be at flood risk. Another big item as we enter hurricane season is making sure your pool enclosure is added to your policy and there will be no issue at claim time. That happens a lot. So call your friendly agent at Italiano Insurance to review your policies today. 813-877-7799 or ItalianoInsurance.com. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, one unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Coming back at you. Now, more with JP on FanStream Sports. It's only just begun.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center and the Jeeves Law Group. If your car has been totaled, you've been in an accident, the Jeeves Law Group can help you recover money and get your life back in order, because those can be very, very trying times. You need somebody aggressive on your side, and Scott Jeeves is that man and the Jeeves Law Group. So give him a jingle at JEEVESlawgroup.com. Just go to the website. You can make an appointment through there. Of course, it's a free consultation to find out if you have a case. So check them out. Also, it is time to renew that health insurance, you have till the 15th, by the way, to sign up. So it's coming up quick. Call 888-325-0605 to get someone to help you navigate the health insurance marketplace. These are experts who know how to navigate this for you. They are accredited, and they will help you out. And if you've tried to do this thing by yourself, it can be a bit of a brain tease. So let somebody else who's very familiar with it, knows the ins and outs, do it for you, and then you can find out what your maximum subsidy is going to be. 888-325-0605 is the number. I did this 3 years ago. I've had Blue Cross Blue Shield, Florida Blue coverage for 3 years now. It's fantastic coverage, and I paid $20 to $49. I think I'm going up to about $75, $85 this year to come. It depends on your income, a lot of different things, but if you have your tax returns available, it's better. But if you don't, they'll still help you through it. You can find out that information. So 888-325-0605 is the number, and the highly trained reps will help you out. And if you have an employer paid plan, folks, you might be able to get it cheaper. So even if you have your employers kicking in, you still could get it cheaper. So find out. 888-325-0605. Take you about 20 minutes, and you'll find out what your subsidy is right there on the phone. So check them out. Great way to get covered. If you don't think you can afford it, think again. All right, you had a really good point here about Rondé's situation, although I hate to mention this, but this year's class is a little crowded. Some big names, obviously. Yeah. But next year, the eligible players list is it's weak.
It's a little weak. The two best names, and I think the two here the only ones that I would vote for to get in would be Julius Peppers and Antonio Gates.
Yep.
Two of the greatest of their positions, their generations. But after that, like the third and fourth players listed here were Eric Berry and Haloti Ngata, which I would say are Hall of Very good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you're looking for cornerback, because that's kind of been the position that's been backloaded here a lot lately.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cost Rondé. The best corner going in next year on the ballot is Brent Grimes.
Another former Buccaneer.
A former Buccaneer who
certainly not a Hall of Famer.
We have mixed feelings about in this market.
Yes, absolutely.
But
well, more about his wife. But,
him or his wife. But it's just him, Adam Pac-Man Jones. You get my drift there.
Yeah, no way.
So,
no way. He's the guy.
Again, not the news. We don't necessarily want him to have to wait another year.
No,
but
it's ridiculous.
I'm sure these are things that the voters look at.
Maybe they should think about, Revis going in next year or one of these other guys. So how about the tackle for loss numbers? As much as Brian Urlacher, who's the first ballot.
I didn't know that.
Linebacker.
Rondé knew it, but I didn't know that.
A linebacker. It's crazy. Absolutely bananas. So, hopefully, and we'll find out, by the way, Super Bowl week. Super Bowl weekend is when we find out who the Hall of Famers are. The week before, right? Yeah, when teams it's like the Sunday before the actual Super Bowl.
Yeah. I tell you what, my other big takeaway from Rondé's interview, which is personal to me, but I didn't know when the dates were for the Valspar. That's the worst week.
That's
my honeymoon.
Your honeymoon.
My honeymoon. I'm going to be in the honeymoon while y'all are enjoying. Oh, no.
I'm going to miss the golf tournament.
But I'm going to miss the. Oh, I know you would. I know you would. And I wouldn't blame you either. No. I wouldn't blame you. No, I'm just going to point out, though, it's an open bar. I'm just going to point it out.
Well,
and there's multiple bars.
Sealed the deal there. Boy, that must have been quite a negotiation to get that.
That was pretty easy.
It was okay.
I bring in my team.
Good. Well done. It's like, you're like, do you want anybody to come? You got to have an open bar. No, I've been through a couple of those negotiations. At my wedding, that was never off the table because I was married to an Irish girl and the Irish family was coming over.
Yeah, yours is built in.
That was the first line item that went into the budget. Absolutely, open bar, 100%. And I think it was funny because we had our reception at the Pasadena Yacht and Country Club many years ago, and they had never really done. They hadn't done outside weddings. You had to be a member to be able to rent the space. So they were starting something new because they built out a nice new space and they wanted to get more revenue coming in. So ours was the first and the last non-member to ever have a reception in Pasadena. Because after that, somebody, like whatever the bar, they gave us like a flat rate for the bar. Yep. And they lost so much money on that deal alone. Somebody effed up. And there were probably some damaged things there somewhere that were probably an issue. I can
only imagine.
And what happened was, our allotted time was over, and at the bar, our flat fee at the bar, which we wrecked. And so then all the guests, nobody wanted to leave because we had the band going. It was a freaking great party. Clearly a high point of the marriage. But no, and then they wrote this, like all the people were coming off the golf course on a Sunday afternoon, or maybe it was a Saturday. And so everybody filtered into the regular bar. So like the members couldn't get a drink, and a bunch of drunk Irish people and my friends. It was a debacle, but a great debacle that it was. So
you know what my debacle is though, is Casey tells me that our flight the next morning is at 6 a.m.
What?
After the wedding.
What?
Yeah.
Where are you guys going?
To Antigua.
Oh, nice.
Antigua.
Nice. 6 a.m.
6 a.m. for a flight after the wedding.
This needs to be
Right,
rescheduled.
this needs to be revised.
Because think about it. 6 a.m. You mean you got to get up at 3
Exactly. Yeah.
on your wedding night?
Yeah.
No.
That's bad.
No.
That's bad news.
That's a no.
And you know my anxiety is about flying.
This
is not a good situation. This is not a good situation.
Yeah. Well, the only positive to that would be just leave you in a coma and get you a wheelchair and just like wheel you up.
Have you ever been on a flight hungover before?
Oh yeah.
Is it?
Would
that be better? You think than going in and being like full anxiety mode?
It was the day after the Gator Bowl of 1980. When was FSU in the Gator Bowl? I think it was 85.
No,
yeah, of course you weren't even born. It was, and we stayed up all night long, and I had to flight to Breckenridge, Colorado, the next day. And my buddy, Kevin Waddell, literally had to put me in a wheelchair and wheel me up to the gate because I was so hungover and sleeping, and just tag. We had paper tickets back, literally safety pin ticket my shirt, and brought me to the gate.
I can guarantee nobody will be doing that to me.
And he was like, my friend, he's got a disability. Can you make sure? And the guy had to take me from the ticket counter to the gate in the wheelchair. True story. I was like, yeah, I can't make it. So I got on the flight though. That may have to do that for you. They may have to do that for you. So good luck with that. No, I would change that. You need to change that.
Yeah. I wasn't even negotiating this deal. I was told. So
yeah, that was not well thought out. Well thought out at all. All right. So Mike Evans chatted with the media yesterday. So I wanted to give you a little bit of that as, honestly, you just heard Rondé say this, this is a matchup. This is a matchup situation. Our coaches have got to get these matchups right. And they've got to set it, get him in situations, move him around if you have to. Do some different stuff if you have to get him. Or is it Godwin? And who's going to get Trayvon Diggs? Because whoever gets Trayvon Diggs, it still should be part of the plan because we know him. He's a gambler. He's a gambler. He's going to not as much this year. He doesn't even have a pick this year. Mm-hmm. But he's a gambler. So you can get him in that. But what you need to do is get these other defensive backs, get Julio Jones if he's healthy on this other defensive back, get Godwin on these other defensive backs. Hell, Devin Tompkins, let him run by some people and we'll get him on some defensive backs. So there's options here, no question about it. And I think personally, the Bucs need to find, I don't want them to spend a whole lot of time bludgeoning themselves and trying to run the football because they haven't figured out how to do it. And I know as John Ledger did some media this week talking about, and people were pointing it out to me that the Bucs run scheme is what's bad. We've been talking about this all year long. And John knows his stuff. You turn on the tape. We've been talking about this all year long. They try to do a running game like they have 340-pound linemen that can just knock people off the ball. And we can't. And we haven't been able to. But we keep trying to do the same stupid scheme. Now, I've seen some wrinkles in it lately with some reverses and some guards pulling and a little bit more motion in the offensive line, which is what they need to do. And if we get a little bit more of that I think is going to help the running game tremendously, and a lot more Rachaad White and less Leonard Fournette. We love Lenny, but it's got to be more Rachaad White.
It is playoff Lenny season, though. It's playoff Lenny season. He's well rested. I wouldn't mind seeing a little bit of Lenny.
I'm saying I don't.
And in this game against,
he had 127 yards.
He had 120. Look, that's what I said.
That's a different team.
I know this was 20 weeks ago, and Byron made a point to preface that yesterday. It was 20 weeks ago, a long time.
Yeah,
but it still was the only time that this team has been able to run the football.
Right.
Clearly, there's a matchup there that they can win. And the more that I hear people kind of be very vague about Ryan Jensen, I don't know why. I just continue to get. Maybe I'm getting a little too optimistic, but who knows? Who knows at this point? But everybody's being like weirdly vague about it, which I get. They're not trying to tip their hand, but I don't know. I feel a little bit more optimistic about that. So we'll see. So I wouldn't mind Leonard getting Not 90% of the share. I'm gonna put it that way. Not 90% of the share, but if he gets a little bit more than Rashad White, I don't think I'd be that upset with it in the playoff time.
Yeah, and I mean, if not for nothing, but when you turn on the tape, and I think Hainsey's been good this year, and I don't want to point the finger at him, but he doesn't really knock people off the ball, and he gets knocked back time and time. Not a lot, but there are times when he gets overpowered at the line of scrimmage, and when your center's getting overpowered, your run game is almost completely nullified. Because he's usually leading the way, at least leading, getting a key block in that situation to get some movement up front. But can we expect Brian Jensen to come back? He hasn't played all year to be able to do that. That's a big ask. That's a big ask. So it's certainly not something you want to count on as the main part of your game plan. That's for damn sure. All right, here's Mike Evans. What's this? Pennies to millions.
Pennies to millions.
Is this T-shirt that he wore yesterday? Okay, not sure what that's all about, but let's listen to Mike Evans.
Feeling better?
Feeling good.
Oh, good to hear.
Yeah, I had a bug last week. He had the bug.
Tom talked on his podcast this week that this is as healthy as this team has been all year. You're going to get guys back that haven't been playing. How much is that going to be a boost to you guys for Monday night?
I didn't know Tom had a podcast, but
every Monday night.
Nah, yeah. I mean, we want to be at full strength. I mean, we have a talented team. When we're at full strength, we're tough to beat. So hopefully we can play our best ball come Monday night.
Mike, for years you didn't get to go to the playoffs, and now this is you played 6 of these in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
So what is playoff football like for you? What is it that is different? What is it that you really enjoy the most about it?
It's a little more intense, but it's the same, really, of a big time, like primetime game. It's kind of the same feel as that. It's just a win or go home mentality, and that brings out the best in players and in teams. So I like being in those type of games.
You remember how you were feeling before your first playoff game? Was it any different, extra butterflies? Or
No, it was no fans in the stand against Washington, and I was back from a knee injury, like on the one where I slipped in the end zone against the Falcons. I'm just happy to be out there and be playing, and we won that game. It was a close game, so it was no nerves or anything. It's real quiet in there.
Gosh, that seemed like a miracle too that you were able to make it out there for that one, considering the way things looked the week before.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
What are your impressions of their corners in general? We all know about Diggs, but I mean, just from what you've seen on tape.
I mean, they're down at corner. They got 2 guys injured. There were some solid players. The backup is solid. We're watching more film on him. 26. He's made some plays, but when we're healthy, it doesn't matter who the DBs are. So hopefully we get a lot of cover one. I love that. So yeah, and Diggs is a really good corner as well. So he's matched me 2021 and first game of the season. He was on me a little bit, but not the whole game.
The Carolina game was such a different game for you guys because all of a sudden that deep ball was back between you and Tom, and it looked like a well-oiled machine. What did that game and those plays do for you and for your offense?
They got us to win. They put me over 1,000 yards. I mean, it was some good plays.
Could you feel a jolt though from that?
A jolt. It felt good. It always feels good to get big plays and win.
Can you talk a little bit about just from that week 1 to now where you guys are? What have you guys grown through, experienced, dealt with that you guys can come back ready for them again this time around?
I mean, we're going to be close to full strength, and they're going to be close to full strength. They've had a better season than us so far. That's the regular season. It's over, 0-0. So, I mean, it's going to be similar. I hope it's the same outcome, but anything can happen in the playoffs.
what advice would you give to some of the young guys, the rookies like Cade, Rashad, Devin, playing in their first game, like how to deal with the magnitude of this type of situation?
Just tell them the truth. It's a game.
You should know this, but I don't. Were you a Cowboys fan growing up in Texas?
I like the Cowboys, but I was always a Indianapolis Colts fan because Peyton Manning was my favorite. So I always liked players. But I mean, Dallas, you like the Cowboys, and I loved Emmitt Smith growing up.
Mike, there's teams every year we see it where they're really, really talented, and for whatever reason they hit a couple bumps in the road, and it's like they just can't find a way through it. A lot of folks, I think, in your position would have mailed it in maybe by like week 8. You lost 5 out of 6 games, but this team didn't do that, and you guys found a way through it, and you're in the postseason now. What allowed you to be able to do that as a group?
It's everybody staying together. We stay together, and we've been through tough times together, so we know how each other responds to moments like that. So, we've been doing it all year. Our division helped us out by, it was a low division this year as far as record, and we just got the job done to punch our ticket.
I mean, is it a character thing? There's a lot of high character guys in there. Is it a genuine love of game? Because you could have easily showed up to work every week to collect a paycheck, but maybe the heart and the passion is there, but you got that every week.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to finish the season better, obviously, but we just kept playing hard, and that's what we're paid to do. To play hard and give our best week in, week out, and we did that.
Mike, does it creep into your mind at all? Just, the experience you guys had with Brady, 3 straight years of winning football, and this could be maybe your final game or final games with them on the field.
I haven't even thought about it, but I'm just happy and privileged that I got the opportunity to play with them, and who knows, it could be even longer than just this season. So just trying to go out there and just play as hard as possible and keep our playoff hopes alive.
Mike, does it help having played the Cowboys earlier this season, and how much are you able to look at film 18 weeks ago, whatever, to help you out in this matchup coming up?
Well, they're a team that's simple. They're a good team, but they're simple. They don't run anything really exotic or defensively, and offensively. They're just a really talented team, and they're just going to play straight up and see if you can beat them. So we got to come with our best.
There's a weird stat. They're 1-4 on grass this year. They've had a losing record since 2017 on grass. Is there a difference when you're playing on grass versus turf?
It depends on the grass. I mean, there's been some really bad grass this year. Germany was the worst I've ever played on. Great experience, but the field itself was unbelievably bad, dangerous. But Dallas has really good turf. So there's some teams with good turf. Some stadiums have good grass. I prefer grass myself, but we're playing grass, so hopefully that percentage helps us come Monday.
What about the Germany grass was dangerous? Because I know you heard about the games.
Oh, it was mud. It was mud, like a little grass sticking up. Like you couldn't run routes out there.
Because it was supposed to be better and safer compared to the turf that was rolled out in the London games and stuff. Yeah.
It was, I don't know, it was bad.
Mike, shortly after.
Hopefully they fix that.
Shortly after the season opener, that catch, they had it hanging in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your favorite one? Or?
Favorite catch?
Yeah.
It's a great picture. It's probably one of the best pictures for sure. But a catch, that's not my favorite. No. It's up there, though. It's pretty good.
Which one is your favorite?
I don't know. Too many to think about.
Like, do you think that playing in Germany, you guys have an edge on that field? Because Seattle was used to playing on turf. Was there an edge there at all?
Our edge against, I don't know. I mean, I like grass personally myself. Most players that I know like grass more than turf.
It's an interesting conversation. I think they don't like to talk about it because most of the fields now are synthetic turf, and a lot of non-contact injuries on the synthetic turf compared to regular turf. They always say the numbers are, even out, but doesn't really seem like it.
Never seems that
it
way.
Doesn't seem, I think somebody's lying.
Although it could be one of those deals where, it's kind of like roughing the passer, how everybody says, okay, the numbers are down, are down. But we see the calls that are made seem to me the most egregious ones ever. Maybe it's the same thing with the injuries. I don't know. All I know is the NFL. Subjective. All I know is the NFLPA hates turf. The players hate turf. Why do we have turf on every stadium?
When you can actually grow grass indoors now.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever. But I do think it is an advantage for the Bucs, no question about it. Especially they know their field best, and guys, believe it or not, they make bad shoe choices all the time. Not just fashion, but because of the cleats on the bottom, and they have to sometimes change at halftime. But it's you play half of football in the wrong cleats, bad things happen. So hopefully it'll be an advantage for the Buccaneers. They'll need every advantage they can get. But listening to Mike, the one thing that comes through there, he's all business.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a week for what's my best catch, what's the turf, or he's all business. He is ready to go, and I hope everybody picks up on that energy.
And I hope we're ready to feed him too. We don't need to go down weeks 8 through 14 or whatever it was, where he was getting 4 or 5 targets a game. We don't need that in this one. I would keep peppering him, because even if he's against Trayvon Diggs, I'm here to say it. I think it's pretty common knowledge. He's not an all-pro corner like he was picked last year.
Right.
He's not. He's beatable.
He's a gambler.
Very beatable.
He's a gambler.
Actually.
And when you have a good year and, people look at the tape and they go, oh, okay. And to his credit, he's done less of that this year. And the Dallas Cowboys defense has been dominant at times. They're third in the league with 54 sacks. So let's not get it twisted. And Brady got hit on 9 of the 29 dropbacks that he had in the game. They sacked him a couple times, I believe. So and he got hit 9 times. That's a 31% pressure rate. That's not good. That's not good. And if that happens this week, this is where I think it gets ugly for the Buccaneers. Not just to be straight up with you. If this offensive line cannot protect Tom, it's a disaster. It always has been. And it's what we saw in the Rams playoff game last year. When this team has been beaten bad, we saw against the 49ers. The offensive line just can't hold up. And then Brady gets skittish, especially if that happens early on. So damn well Dan Quinn is coming after his ass. And they're going to throw everything at Brady in terms of the pressure. And they're going to get some one-on-one looks early on in the game. So execute the play. Mike's got to go up and get it. Julio's got to go up and get it. Devin's got to go up and get it. Godwin's got to go up and get it. Make those, because there's going to be some 50-50 balls with one-on-one backup corners. And you're the man. This is where it comes down to the players, right? We could talk about the coaches and their failings all we want, but in the end, it comes down to the players. And if you make those plays on those 50-50 balls and you go up and you snatch one away and score a touchdown in a game like this, it's a huge freaking play. I know that sounds obvious, but we go over all these different game planning in certain situations. It's going to come down to make an effing play. Like Rondé said, big moments, preparation meets opportunity. Make that opportunity yours and make that play. Of all the mumbo jumbo that we talk about all week long, when it comes down to it, that's it. Those are the moments. Who's going to get that 50-50 ball? Who's going to make that break that tackle and take it to the house? Who's going to get that sack fumble? Those big plays. That's what's going to determine this game. And players make those plays, obviously. And who's going to make the most of them? And in a playoff situation, who's overthinking it because they haven't been there very often, and who's going out there and playing. And that's a huge part of it. It's a huge part of it. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back on the other side. Casey Hudson's going to join us as well, covering the Bolts and the Bucks. So we'll chat with her about both those things. Got a lot of other stories to get into. The Tua situation, the Lamar situation, the Bears making a hire today. What are they going to do with the number 1 pick? All kinds of stuff to chat about. Stay with us. Was your car totaled in an accident? Did your insurance company use Kelley Blue Book or NADA to appraise the value of your car? Chances are they didn't, and you got shorted thousands of dollars. Call the Jeeves Law Group for a free case evaluation because your insurance company may still owe you money. 727-894-2929. It's a free call, so why not find out if you have a case? Insurance companies have been running the scam for a while, and most folks don't know if they've been shorted. Trust me. Scott Jeeves is a different kind of attorney, the kind insurance companies hate to go up against. He could recover thousands of dollars, so why not call? 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell them JP sent you.
JP here for Emerging Investigations, Tampa Bay's premier investigation agency. Do you suspect your spouse is cheating or involved in a divorce, that your spouse is hiding money, an ex-employee or current employee with suspicious behavior? Is there a criminal matter you need help with? If you need information you can count on, using the professionals at Emerging Investigations is a slam dunk. Emerging Investigations is a licensed and insured private investigation agency, family-owned. Emerging is your ideal resource to secure evidence and validation, allowing you to make informed decisions in life's biggest matters. Led by industry executive Brian D'Antonio, Emerging possesses the experience and resources to get needed results. Emerging Investigations maintains an excellent reputation as a premier investigation agency. They are known for results. You're not just hiring a PI, but an organized, dedicated team using state-of-the-art technology. Their proven investigative methods produce crucial information used in criminal cases, insurance fraud, and personal injury claims. Many local attorneys, industry agencies, and your concerned neighbors all count on Emerging Investigations. Just go to their website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's 813-291-FACT 3228. Get results you can trust in life's biggest matters. Emerging Investigations.
Well, it's that time of year to renew or shop your health insurance provider, and you can get great health insurance for $20, $30, $50 a month. Just call 888-325-0605 to help navigate the health insurance marketplace. 1 out of 3 people in Florida are uncovered because they think they can't afford it. Not true. I made the call a couple of years ago, and they helped me get Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage, Florida Blue, for just $20 a month. Last year, it went up to $49. Oh, well. It all depends on your income and your family situation. It's a free call, 888-325-0605. They will ask for some income information. So if you have your tax returns available, that will be great, but you don't need it. They'll just answer some simple questions, and the highly trained reps will do the work for you to find out what your subsidy will be. 888-325-0605. And if you have a plan through your employer, you may be able to get it cheaper. It's a free call, so find out, folks. This has been a lifesaver for me and saved me thousands of dollars over the last few years, and you can choose your plan. It's a no-brainer. Find out. Make the free call, 888-325-0605. Get covered like me and thousands of others, 888-325-0605.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show with JP on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group and the Golden Diamond Source. Their after Christmas sale is going on right now, plus 15% off the gemstone of the month, which is garnet. So get something for your favorite FSU fan there. Get a little break on the price there. Great selection. Over 30 times the regular store. The Golden Diamond Source. You know it. Keep it local, folks, with the great folks at the Golden Diamond Source. A couple other notes you want to get to before we get to Casey. Tua is not going to play this week for Miami. They're going with Skylar Thompson. The Bills are now, I think, 13-point favorites in that one. I dare say the Dolphins have very little chance in that game.
Not a shot.
I would say lay the 13. They're going to roll them. And there's a lot of speculation. You know, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. You know, who's going to be the quarterback in Miami next year? We're not going to go down that rabbit hole right now, but if you're paying attention, that's a likely destination for one Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.
You mean it's not Las Vegas? Like everybody seems to be rooting for it at this
Josh
point?
McDaniels. Like what have they shown that makes you think? Plus, they got their quarterback.
I don't care. To me, it bothers me the most. And I mean, I'm not shocked, but it still bothers me. The whole narrative is they just want him to go back to a big market. That's just the whole narrative.
No,
Let's be real here.
Golly.
Let's be real here.
The only thing that makes sense to me really is Miami, because they're set up to win.
How about here?
And his kids are there, or here. You know, I think depending on how everything works out this year. Look, if they get rolled in this game, I think it matters. Yeah. I think it really does matter.
I'm not mentally prepared. It's like I don't want to think about the future, but I'm not mentally prepared for this game to be his last. I'm not there. I'm not prepared.
Well, he's going to play.
Like I wasn't prepared for the Rams game at all. It caught me so off guard when he first retired, but I'm really not prepared now, and I feel like we're almost like 50-50 expecting it. Yeah. I'm still not prepared.
I think given his personal situation now that he is divorced and he's got everything set up with his kids in Miami, his other son on the East Coast, I don't think he goes west at all. It's not, I don't think that's a possibility. I think that takes San Francisco off the board. I think it takes Vegas off the board. I think the Saints might still be in play, but I think it's between Miami and Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
And that'll probably be more about his personal life than it is his professional life, because I think if you look at the two teams, it's pretty similar situation. Will Miami make him part owner? All this other stuff, anything Miami offers him, I'm sure the Glazers will offer him too, because I think I've mentioned it on this show. The Bucs have a 20% surcharge on all their major marketing deals if Brady is the quarterback.
Ooh.
A 20% surcharge. So it certainly will pay them millions and millions of dollars more with their advertising partners if Brady stays. So from whatever deal, monetary deal that the Bucs will be looking at, or the Dolphins are going to be offering in terms of future ownership or whatever, the Glazers will match. Don't get that twisted. So yeah, I think that's why I think this game is important. If they can go out and play well in this game, and play well offensively and beat the Cowboys and get to the next round where anything can happen, I think that really bodes well for him staying in Tampa Bay. If they go out and get just destroyed and, there's a lot of Cowboy fans and it's just, it's an ugly scene and it ends ugly, I think it's going to be, I think that's going to matter. I really do think it shouldn't probably, but I think it's going to matter because I think it's this. That's why this game is so important. Now we can go round and round on, Bowles didn't get to pick his coaches. Although I'm guessing most of the coaches that are on this staff, he had a very big hand, especially on the defensive side, in picking, right? I mean, I don't think.
Not really. I mean, maybe it's coaches. It's
side?
probably coaches he's worked with, though, because wasn't that because Bruce said like it was a perfect storm. Everybody came available, so this was his guy. So, I mean, I'm sure
Bruce was like, okay, Todd, who do you want to hire defensively?
But still, though, I think when you get hired at March 30th, there's nothing else you can do. It's your staff is your staff at that point.
But see, for me, to me, for the Bulls thing is, how did this team, like, what is the accountability level on this team? Not good. Not good. There's been way too many miscommunications, et cetera, et cetera. So I don't want to get into that right now, but I just think that that Tua thing is a real thing, and it opens up Miami for this. It's not like, Tua is going to finish this season on a high note and they're going to sign him to a long-term deal. That's not happening. So that clearly opens up the Brady window to go to Miami. And the Lamar situation is bizarre, is completely bizarre. He's not – John Harbaugh won't talk about it. He won't come out and say his knee is hurting, he can't play. He just says, I don't want to talk about it. He could easily come out and say, hey, Lamar's he's hurt and he can't play. And, we got to move forward. It's nothing to do with the contract, blah, blah, blah. But that's not what he's saying. And I don't want to say that Lamar is sitting out because we don't know. We don't know. But something weird's going on there. Something really, really weird is going on with Lamar Jackson. And I wish they would be a little bit more forthcoming about what exactly is happening. So, all right, let's bring in our good friend from also covers the Bolts and has many of her own podcasts as well. She's absolutely out there, many media platforms. What's up, Casey? How are you?
Hi, guys. I'm doing great. How are you?
Fantastic. I most enjoy your work on the Pewter Report podcast and covering the Bolts as well. We appreciate all that. So we'll start with our Buccaneers, and I'd like to get your take on what you saw, how the Bucs handled the last game, vis-a-vis moving forward and playing in the playoffs. I personally think they handled it very poorly, like the knucklehead out in San Diego who got Mike Williams and Bosa hurt in a meaningless game. Same thing could have happened to the Bucs. It didn't for the most part.
Right.
But how do you think they handled that?
Yeah, I didn't love how they handled it, especially because, and I've chatted with a few people about it recently, I'm such a literal person. So when Coach Bowles went to the podium and said we're playing our starters because they need the practice, basically, I thought that they were going to come in with more of a plan versus the Falcons, get some confidence in that first and second quarter, and then start rotating out their starters. But it still looked like a mess. It still looked like they had no plan. It looked like they just kind of, brought in some guys that wanted to play and they made it the whole, well, you can't tell Tom Brady no thing. No, this was a crucial moment to either prove something in the first and second quarter and move on, or not have your starters at all. Let these other guys get the reps and let the game be what the game was for a lot of teams in the league that already clinched their spot. So I did not love the game plan. I kind of just hated that entire game. And then the guys that should have stepped up a little bit better, I wasn't impressed by. And now we're talking about week 18 and the faces of this Bucs team come next season. So it was a tough watch for me. I think that it also may have raised some question marks for this wild card game coming up on Monday.
All right. What questions do you think it raised? So it raised more questions for you than answered. I know a lot of people want to say, hey, they went right down the field and got that first touchdown, which was nice. They've only done it 3 times. But I'm not really sure that's something that's, for all you put into it, that's going to carry over to the next week.
Right. Well, the questions that it raised for me is the things that they should have been practicing and working out. How are you going to utilize this run game? Who's going to be your main guy here? Is it Rashad White? Is it Leonard Fournette? Leonard Fournette put up 100+ rushing yards on the Cowboys in week 1. Does that mean that that's the answer in the wild card? Or do you have an advantage with the fact that Rashad White was is a rookie, but was very much a rookie week 1. They don't know what to expect with him. He's become a more reliable player on this roster. His turning point, I think, for me was the Seahawks game. Do you go with him to kind of come in with the unexpected? So the question mark that it initially raised for me was this run game. And are they going to play this smart? Because there are some things they could play into their advantage. Chris Godwin came out early in week 1 with the hamstring situation, and we didn't expect him to play much regardless bouncing back from that injury. Right. Julio Jones went out early. Donovan Smith went out early. So if you have health or healthier players on your side, how are you going to use that to your advantage? Not terrible trick plays on 4th down that just make 0 sense, but are you going to use that fresh out the gate and be consistent with it? Which I think they should have showed fans that versus the Falcons for a minute. I didn't see it past that opening drive.
Yeah, first of all, them saying that Tristan Wirfs going to play on that carpet and land the high sprain was the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. Right. Thankfully, somebody came to their senses on spot 4 Sunday and got him out of there. And then you put Tom Brady out there with 2 backup tackles. I mean, I just don't get it. And by the grace of God, Brady didn't get hurt on those 2 free shots that Grady Jarrett had, or we'd be having a totally different conversation about this coaching staff. And just because they didn't get hurt, you put them in harm's way. And I thought it was just ridiculous. But here we go. We get into the playoffs. It's 0-0, right? As Levante said, it's a whole new season. Unfortunately, you don't have a whole new team. And this is a team that has been, below average. They're 8-9. They are what their record says they are. And we've been, as a media group, saying, okay, we're waiting for this team to evolve as it has the last 2 years, right? Brady has put that into our head. Your team evolves. You should get better each and every week. And this year's been nothing but a step up and 2 steps back and all of that. And we haven't seen a constant evolution, which leads me to believe I shouldn't expect to see that in a playoff game, right?
Yeah, I know that is the hard part. The inconsistency has been the theme of this team. The coaching calls has been the theme of this team. I will say, if people are really, kind of squinting for a glimmer of hope when it comes to this game and this matchup on Monday, is that they did well raising to the occasion for moments, fleeting moments versus the Packers versus the Chiefs. The Chiefs would probably be my biggest example because that was a winnable game for them, in my opinion. They shot themselves in the foot. There's been a lot of Bucs beating Bucs this entire season. So the ability for them to play up is there. It's just going to come down to, are they the definition of insanity or not come on Monday? Because like I mentioned earlier, they have things that they can use and wield to their advantage that this Cowboys team, may not be prepared for. Are Curse and Wilson great guys in the secondary? Absolutely. Are Mike Evans and Chris Godwin that much better? Yes. Chris Godwin is starting to get back into his own when it comes to being that yak guy. So underneath passes to Chris Godwin, that could be huge for you guys. I don't know where the tight ends have been for 3 weeks now, but I don't know, maybe get them back involved. And then again, figuring out what this run game looks like, not coming up with it as you go during the game after you realize that 2nd and 3rd down is not working in your favor and predictability didn't work all season.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with all you said there. So, and I know we tend to, I know fans get mad at me, like you're dumping on the Bucs. They won the division, all that. I get it. But I'm trying to be objective about this. Yeah, it's a terrible division. You don't get points for, winning a terrible division. I'm sorry. But I do see some glimmers of hope, and you mentioned it. The offense was better in the first bang and struck. They scored 30 points against the Panthers. There have been moments, I think, where Brady has been better as his back is against the wall, right? And he's smart enough to know I don't have to, I can get rid of the ball early as long as we don't have to win this game at this particular time. And it sounds crazy, but Brady knows when he has to score, and when he has to score, he usually does. And this whole game, you got to score. So it just seems like, this is what we've seen. He'll trust his protection more, which might be dangerous, but he knows now is the time. There is no tomorrow. And that's the thing that he's been good at, right? He knows when he has to take chances, and he's going to have to do it now.
Oh, absolutely. And if there's anything, there was a little bit more confidence established during that Panthers win, and that Panthers win was crucial in many ways. We saw Tom Brady have a clean pocket a couple of times there where he had all day to make a decision, and that was a beautiful thing to watch. So to know that that's a capability of this offensive line. Now, we're not going to get into the whole is Ryan Jensen not thing. Leftwich said Todd Bowles will answer that question. He might be there to be, just extra momentum for these guys vocally on the team if he suits up. I just talked to Jeff Antonella about that. But I think that Brady, like you said, if there's a time to be confident in this O-line, it's going to be Monday. And he saw some of that in the last game that really counted. Even though I didn't like that Falcons game, the Panthers game was the last game that truly counted, and he got those pockets. It's going to come down to penalties too. I mean, the last 4 weeks, I think that they've had a minimum of 30 yards of penalties, which is so costly and so stupid. So Gedeke cannot make any mistakes. This is the time to show that you can learn from your mistakes. Donovan Smith, you had no reason to make the mistakes that you made all season long. This is the time to learn. So I think a big question here too is, are these guys actually learning from their mistakes? Are they holding themselves accountable? Are they having the right conversations off the field so that they can come in a lot more confident, because they're the ones screwing with their own confidence? It's still one of the most talented rosters in the league, in my opinion, hands down. And Brady knows what to expect from Parsons and Lawrence. He took 2 hits from Parsons in week 1. So you should feel that much more confident walking into this saying like, okay, if he gets to me twice, I can manage because I managed then.
Yeah, and this Dallas defense has not been what it was early in the season. And we had one of the Dallas reporters on earlier in the week just saying that Parsons has just kind of lost his legs. You know, he's a smaller guy. He's probably about 230 right now. And he's not as durable as some of these other big pass rushers are. So his game is kind of quieted a little bit, and we hopefully that will stay quiet, because the Bucs, few teams have answers for him. What do you expect from this Dallas pass rush? It's 3rd in the league, 54 sacks. It's Marcus Lawrence, Parsons. They've got a lot of good players up front.
Yeah, they do have a lot of great players up front, and they showed how aggressive they could be. I feel like they had a lot more control in that first quarter of week 1, but I feel like the Bucs did well adjusting. So if the Bucs can adjust, then they can have their numbers once again in this wild card game. And I'm glad that you mentioned Parsons kind of not looking in the same form. It's the fact that this team relied too heavily on him, and it wears on you as a player when what you do and how you perform is whether or not your team wins or loses. It was him and CeeDee Lamb, especially when Dak Prescott wasn't in and Rush was in the pocket. So I think it's a manageable defense. I'm not taking away from their skill set. But if between Tom Brady, his time of release, if these guys can finally show up to a game on the same page, I think that the resurgence of the bromance between him and Mike Evans will be crucial in this game, because it was Mike Evans and Chris Godwin who Brady went to when all else failed, and he really hasn't had that all season long. So if he does get that versus the Cowboys with his release time, with the experience and the things that only Tom Brady can do, that'll be in favor of managing this Cowboys defense. I think that they're a little worn out, though. I think that they were relied on heavily starting in week 9 up until the last week. And I think it shows. And this team knows what it's like to see an exhausted defense. So that's something else they could use to their advantage, is, something that they realize has been self-inflicted on their own roster.
Yeah. Casey Hudson joining us here from Pewter Report. I still haven't figured out who I'm going to pick in this game. I think it's such a toss-up, and it really comes down to, I think, first of all, the Bucs have to catch the interceptions that Dak throws them, because he will. He'll throw them a couple, and the Bucs are just awful at catching interceptions that are thrown to them. And that's going to be a huge moment in this game. If somebody has a chance to step in front and get a pick six, you got to make the play. And I'm just not I'm not so confident that Jamel Dean and Carlton Davis, at least Sean Murphy Bunting, when he's in position, makes the play. But I mean, that's going to be a huge part, don't you think, how the secondary plays?
Absolutely. Turnovers have been abysmal for this team. And I almost fell out of my chair when I realized Sean Murphy Bunting was going to be the guy to have an interception, and almost more. I mean, he almost had one last week. So, no, I think it's crucial that this team figures out a way to get their hands on the ball and make it count. I had more hope that Edwards would kind of build off of some of the flashy things that he did the end of last season, beginning of this year. I don't know what happened between him and Edwards. Maybe the injuries are a little bit more lingering than we'll know until off season, but that's going to be important. Winfield Jr. had an interception week 1. I have a bit of an issue with the fact that, depending on the health heading into this matchup on Monday, they need to figure out a way. I know that Winfield Jr. is versatile. I know that that's so fun to watch. I know that it's been crucial for this team. I think that they're spreading him a little too thin. And I think that it's it's affecting the defense negatively rather than positively. You can't have him in on every single tackle and expect him to be effective and still hit hard and, crouch for those sack moments. He can't be your box guy and your back guy. I think I need them to figure out what predominantly he needs to do versus this team, what's going to be the most formidable thing for Winfield to play position-wise, because he can be the guy that picks up that interception if that's where his focus is supposed to be.
Well, they're going to need him in run support this week, because I have a feeling Cowboys are going to try to run the football on the Bucs, and teams have been successful doing that.
Yeah, well, they contained Ezekiel Elliott to 52 rushing yards week 1, and Pollard only had 8. but Tony Pollard became their guy this season. I mean, if anything, I didn't expect him to be as formidable as Elliott was. So you're right about that. They're going to have to look out heavily for the run game because they don't exactly know this Tony Pollard. They know the guy they saw in week 1 that wasn't their go-to guy. It's a whole different scenario now.
Yeah, when he's out in space, he is dangerous, no question. Do you have a pick? I'm not doing my pick till tomorrow, but have a pick this game.
JP, you're putting me on the spot. No, I'm kidding. This is terrible because growing up in Tampa, at the end of all of it, I always go back to supporting this team. I'm loyal to a fault. But the reality of it is the inconsistency is so hard to bet against. But, if they play their cards right, if they show up smart, they're fully capable of beating the Cowboys. I do believe that. I think the spread on that is like -2.5 right now. So I'm going to lean towards the Bucks.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, my head is saying Cowboys, my heart is saying Bucks, and
I know.
My gut is saying a lot of other different things. So I'll leave mine tomorrow, but I respect your pick there. All right, quickly on the Bolts. This is a team that did what they had to do on Tuesday night, right? They beat a bad team in Columbus. Some sloppy moments in this one, but they got Vancouver coming in tonight, who's also been struggling as well. So these are the times where you got to bank 2 points, but we want to see them, stop with the silly turnovers and just, play a cleaner game, right?
Absolutely. The giveaway total has to come down. I think for a minute they got so carried away in the fact that the giveaway total was equal to or slightly less than their takeaway total, but it's still putting them in too many problematic moments. There were some terrible turnovers or giveaways in the D zone versus the Blue Jackets. And if the Blue Jackets were this much more of a better team, then it would have been costly for them. They would have been looking at a tie, overtime, or even a loss. So they've got to get rid of the giveaways. And they worked so well in practice before the holiday, the practices that I was going to, they were working on minimizing time and space for other teams. And I feel like it was starting to become so seamless for them. I feel like now the time and space thing has started to work against them a little bit because, again, if the Blue Jackets were that much more skilled, it would have been costly. There was too much space out there for the Blue Jackets. And then those giveaways right in front of Vasilevsky, you can't do that. I mean, You don't really see much emotion out of Vasi, and for him to slam his stick against the post, showing like that third goal should have never happened. It should have never happened. It was definitely not the sexiest 6-3 win that you ever want to see from this team. But I think that they have the ability to pull it together. I think that the Canucks will actually be a nice, surprising challenge to if they're correcting those mistakes that they're working on in practice, because you got Bo Horvat, who should not be underestimated by any means. And because of what he's going through with his team and, contract negotiations failing and falling through, he has a lot more to prove. And he has been in games where he's put this Canucks team on his back to pull him to a W. So all 4 lines got to get involved. They got to clean up time and space. Defense has started to do a lot better. And Nick Perbix, I'm just such a fan.
Wow. Yeah.
I'm such a fan.
He had 7 shots the other night. 7 shots on goal.
He didn't realize.
Yeah, he and Sergachev combined for 12 shots on goal, which is a lot for D-men. And, Perbix just finds a way to get it through. And if we could get a little bit more, guys getting to the net when he has the puck, and I think guys are starting to learn that, he'll get it on net, get to the rebound, and make something happen because he's going to find a way to get it through one way or another. Get in front, redirect, or pounce on that rebound. But, he's got a really sneaky way of doing that, and it's been fantastic. And then we got this road trip coming up, which is going to be huge. I think the Lightning are 9-9 on the road this year. So they got a 5-game trip, starts in St. Louis. And I think they got an afternoon game in Seattle right before the Bucks game, which is going to be great. You can watch the Bolts and then watch the Bucks. So, but this game, I think this is a time where, I'd like to see them get, if they can, 6-8 points on this road trip, because they just have not been really good on the road, and you'd like to see them play better.
I know, and it's been the same old song and dance, kind of letting up in the second period. Second period is kryptonite, rallying in the third, but there's only so much time on the clock. So, we talk about it in every sport, really. Showing up for the entire game, showing up for 60 minutes is what these guys have to do, not heavily coming out and relying on the defensive performance or allowing people to take the neutral zone from them. That's probably been their biggest thing on the road. For some reason, these road teams get off to a fast start of controlling the neutral zone, and it takes them forever to kind of get into a flow and a structure. And this road trip seems like they're going to play some pretty hard teams. St. Louis has had its moments of hot streaks throughout this season, and we know they're a handful of decent players that'll give it to the Bolts. So I think that I agree 100%. They need to walk away with plenty of points from this trip, and they're starting to contend for that next spot in the Atlantic Division with the Toronto Maple Leafs, but they've got to collect a couple more W's and multiple 2-point games here starting tonight.
And let's hope maybe tonight's the night for Stammer. He's been gripping that stick a little hard, but maybe he was so close the other night. He had a post and then had a great chance late in the game. So maybe tonight's the night. I would like to see him get it done before he goes out on because his dad's here.
They are. Yeah, I would love to see it too. It's just it's kind of like Ovechkin when he was right there for I think it was almost like 2-3 games, and they just kept feeding him and feeding him and feeding him, and then finally they went into it more natural minded, and that happened. So I don't know. It's so bad because Stammer really does have the curse of milestones on the road, and it would be terrible if it happens like the first road trip gone. Then he's got to wait a week and a half before he comes back and celebrates it. But that just kind of seems to be the song and dance that Stamkos. But I don't know.
We'll hopefully get it done.
Victor Hedman is 5 assists away from 500. So
right. Yeah. And now Vigo's here, so he played with a little pep in his step the other night. I thought it was the best Hedman we've seen all year.
Oh yes, we saw some rare form Victor Hedman that you saw in the beginning of the season before that West Coast tour, and it's funny too because the whirlwind of leaving the road trip early, coming back, waiting for your wife to have a kid, having the kid on Monday, playing on Tuesday. They're like, "Well, how's it been?" And he's like, "Well, I took a nap." And I'm like, God bless you, because I'm on 0 caffeine, no naps, and I am a difficult human being to be around for 2 weeks in January. So these guys are troopers.
All right, last question. What do you think the atmosphere is going to be like for this playoff game? Because I see people on Twitter, it doesn't really feel like, it's just Monday night. The Cowboys are coming to town. It's a freaking primetime playoff game. Never before happened in Tampa Bay. And there's, good seats still available. I mean, the Bucs are hitting me up for, hey, if you need tickets, we still got some available, and they ain't cheap. I get it, but I know Cowboys fans are eating them up, and now I'm afraid that Monday night's going to be like 30-40% Cowboy fans. I'm a little worried about the atmosphere for this game. What are your thoughts?
No, you hit it on the head. There's still too many great seats available, and people just waiting to sell their tickets because now, due to the inconsistency and the emotional roller coaster that's been the Bucs this season. A lot of people are like, well, I'd rather watch from home and either be excited with my free alcohol and food or be disappointed with my free alcohol and food. And that's a tough bargain to go against. And
you got it.
The time and effort that it takes to get into the game, get to the game. And we've seen fans leave a little too early in a lot of games this season. So I think that's another one that plays into it emotionally. It's like, okay, do I give it till halftime? Do I give it till the third quarter? And at that rate, you might as well just stay the whole game on Monday night.
I know. Come on.
I have been to 2 games this year, the Chiefs game and the Ravens game. And might I add, I paid a lot of money to be at those games.
I
left early in both. Okay. I'm done. I'm maxed out this year.
At least you weren't one of the people that left early for the Saints game. The thousands of people that left early on that one.
That one was huge. I mean, that was like a rush of Bucs jerseys out, and you're like, that felt a little too premature for that one. But I don't know. That's a tough sell. I know for my emotional protection, I would almost say just stay home because you got to on Tuesday.
Come
you got
on.
on Tuesday and live your life, JP. So if I do that with a loss, an emotional loss that took me until 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning to get over.
Come on, look at you young guys. Come on. Listen, life is about making memories, right? And you know what? You go in there and you get your ass kicked by the Cowboys, whatever. All right, so I lost some money. It's been a bad year. But you go in there and you whoop up on the Cowboys or Tom freaking Brady, the GOAT, the greatest ever done it, never lost to the Cowboys. He's down 2 points with 75 seconds to go. Or better yet, let's do this one. They're tied. And he's going to leave it, and there's 39 seconds left on the clock, and the head coach says, I don't want him to throw an interception. Let's go to overtime. And then you lose. All right, sorry. Not like that would ever happen. Oh, wait, it did happen.
Sorry. There? Okay, I'll give you this.
I got sidetracked. But you got to be there for that moment when you beat the Cowboys on a Monday night. You'll never forget it the rest of your life. You have that opportunity, and now you're going to sell your tickets and stay at home with your Fritos and your Natty Light? Come on. Come on.
No, I will say, do not sell your tickets. That's so disrespectful to do, especially to have more Cowboy jerseys in Bucs Stadium. That's wrong on so many.
I'm worried.
Don't
it's going to happen.
Here's a selling point I will go with minus the food and the beer and the drive-in and the walk-up. is that this could potentially be the last time that you see Tom Brady at Raymond James, and that should account for everything.
There you
Because
go.
win or lose, it's Tom Brady. It's what he's done for Tampa Bay. It's the excitement that he's drawn to this city. It's the closeness and the camaraderie that he's created being here, and this could be it. So I would go on that basis.
So you're rethinking it now that I've talked you into this.
And the overtime thing, and then I realized, wait, that might be the last time we get to see Tom Brady rally, either a comeback or a really close loss. And to be able to say that you were a part of that, there's nothing like it. I mean, just think about how emotional everybody felt last year when they were like, oh, okay, this is fine. They saw the emotions on Brady's face after that Rams loss, but it didn't hit them hard enough until he announced that false retirement for 41 days and then came back. So if you guys want to avoid all of that emotion and turmoil, show up Monday night for this team regardless.
Oh, man. You got to get in the arena, baby. You got to jump in the river. Let's go. You can't be scared. You can't be scared. That's how you make it. All right, Casey, tell everybody how they can get your content, what you got going on out there.
Yes, of course, as always, guys, it's so much fun chatting with both of you. At the Sports Case, KASE, across all platforms, and at Odyssey Sports and at BetQL is predominantly where you can find all of my work. I work on the Sunday spread every week with BetQL Network, and then we've got Jolly Rogers and Touchdowns talking about the Bucs with Odyssey Sports, and then Pucks and Bolts, where we dive into all things Tampa Bay Lightning. So you can follow at Pucks and Bolts, at Jolly Rogers TDS, at the Sports Case, KASE is the simplest way to figure out what I'm up to every single week.
Great stuff, Case. You're a great follow, and I appreciate your knowledge and bringing it here. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, guys. See ya.
And you're on with Rondé Barber today, so that was part of the show.
Oh, thanks for the honor.
He's all of it.
Next, get John Lynch for me next, please.
All right, we'll get Litchy on the show. Absolutely. Oh.
Thank you.
Except if we have to play them, that would be fantastic, right? It could happen. I don't want it to happen. We saw what happens when it happens, and then it wasn't good. All right, thanks, Casey. Have a great day. I'll see you at the game tonight as the Bolts take on Vancouver this evening.
I think they're gonna smash Vancouver tonight. Cooper's been calling them out the last 2 days.
Yeah.
Vancouver coming all the way from across the country. They've lost 5 of 6. This team's dead in the water tonight. I feel it.
Well, that's when the team comes up and they're playing.
Not this team.
2-time Stanley
Not
Cup
this
champions.
Team. No. I've watched a lot of late night hockey this year, more so than usual.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of Vancouver.
Who's the guy in goal? Their goal.
Thatcher Demko.
Oh, he's been bad. He's 3-10.
He's a lot better than that. A lot of the issues are in front of him. But it's Thursday, so it should be retro night, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So the music will be good. I gotta see if I can find that old leisure suit, that powder blue leisure suit from prom.
Oh gosh, you still own that thing? Come on.
I could go find one at the thrift store though. And I mean that was 185. That 180 into 220 ain't gonna fit into 185. I can tell you that right now. That's about where I'm at right now. 220, 222.
I would expect it bigger.
Look who's talking.
You're
the.
I was like, if some
you're
people
the
are
one
gonna,
whose fiance is getting called fat.
Some people are going to go after my weight. Then here we go.
My friends the other day was like, "How much weight have you lost?" I'm like, I don't know.
Nobody says that to me. They're like, you know. Here's a polite way people always say.
There's a reason for that.
Here's a polite way people always say it. Man, you're really growing into your body now. At 23, you're really growing into it.
You're getting your man strength.
Yeah, that's what they always tell me.
No, it's just
I'm
more wings.
no. Do you see this?
More
Is
wings.
this normal? Like,
well,
no.
you have to see the inside of a gym to actually make that happen. So it doesn't you can't watch the workout on TV. It doesn't work that way. You actually have to get in the gym and lift the weight to actually have some improvement in that area. Talk to Dr. Lugo about that. I'm no expert, but I'm just thinking you got to actually get in the gym to get some of the benefits.
You got to be in the arena.
Just saying.
In the arena.
I'm just saying. And isn't that funny? It's like, think about the emotional roller coaster. I mean, if you're sitting there like, okay, because there are tickets, like you can buy tickets on Ticketmaster. It's not just secondary market ridiculous prices. Yeah. Like there are some prices for tickets that are lower than the face
on
value.
Ticketmaster?
Yes, I think so. So there's tickets available, and I'm telling you, these freaking Cowboy fans are going to buy them all up.
That's very true. It's very likely too.
Because normally, the teams, and maybe we'll get Brian Ford on tomorrow, see what's going on. But you offer them up to your season ticket holders, and you say, okay, and they should eat all of them up. Like, hey, if you want to buy an extra 4 tickets, and then that should keep your stadium completely Buccaneer. But Cowboy fans travel, as we know.
I'm looking at Ticketmaster right now, and I'm like, look at all the blue in the stadium that is still out for resale.
Yeah,
look at all the blue. It's a lot here.
And what are the upper the numbers?
The cheapest upper ticket is $195, and I know that sounds like a lot, but again, for reference, the Chiefs game, I sat up there, and I paid a lot more than $195
for a regular season game.
Yeah, for a regular season game.
Yeah, I would say you go on any other team's website and look for a playoff ticket. It's going to be more than that. What are the down low tickets going for? I think they're like $225 face.
Yeah, right now they're near the 300s.
All right, so it's a little bit more, but that's hell, regular season tickets for Cowboy fans are that much. So, I do not want to see that. I do not want to see a Cowboy blue, and I'm afraid that that's what we're going to see. There's going to be a lot more than needs to be there. And
of course.
That's troubling. I mean, like I said, I get it. There's a very good chance that this 12-win Cowboys team comes in here and spanks the Bucs. And it's ugly, and you paid $500 for your tickets and, another $150 for parking and drinks and everything else. And you're just sitting there watching Cowboy fans, just stomp all over you. No fun. I get it. But you could also spend that money and go and watch one of the greatest playoff games in history, and Brady bring them back in what might likely could be his final game at Raymond James Stadium. And you're going to be sitting at home with your Fritos and Natty Light going, "Gummit."
Who is watching these games with Fritos and Natty Light? I've never watched a game with Fritos and Natty Light. I don't know why you're pointing towards me. First of all, there's Miller Lite in my beer, not Natty Light. Huge difference there.
Not really.
Huge difference there.
Really.
And I'm not eating Fritos.
What are you eating?
Actually, I don't know what I'm eating because me and Casey went to the store and she wouldn't let me buy anything that I wanted, and all we have is salad and slaw. I don't know.
There was the inevitable grocery
shopping trip
issue,
and because she right now is paying for groceries, I have no say.
This is the first time in your relationship that you've gone to the grocery store together?
No, but again, because somebody commented on my weight, she's like really looking out for my health now, and so it's like we got salad, spinach. Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Last night I had a ham sandwich for dinner, and if you know me, I don't do ham sandwiches. I like a little bit more. I sound so entitled right now. I know
you do.
I really do. But I'm not really a ham sandwich, but that's all we had.
No, there was salad. There was rabbit food. There was spinach. Could have made a nice spinach salad.
I was hangry at 10 o'clock at night after playing pickleball. I did not want a salad.
No. I get it. You want something with some meat?
I want some wings. I want some wings.
Well, you can't make wings at home. At least I can't.
I don't have the ability to make wings at home.
I can make great chicken fingers at home. I have the best chicken finger recipe ever.
Me too. I got a nice air fryer. It does it for me, and it comes out really great.
There you go. Yeah. So make your own. She can't get bad at if you get like boneless, skinless breast of chicken, and then air fry it up with some whatever coating that you want to put on there. I use breadcrumbs and olive oil.
Oh, you make the chicken tenders.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. I'm talking about like
listen how easy this is.
I'm talking
you guys
about
want a great chicken. You want a great chicken recipe, and it's much more healthy than any other one you'll do. So yeah, get the skinless breast of chicken, skinless, boneless, and you can actually get the bone in. You can do that too. It's a lot cheaper, but it's a little bit more work. But then you slice them up into not too big. Then you put a little. What I like to do is sprinkle them with garlic powder when there's in the chicken itself with garlic powder and a little bit of salt and pepper, and then you dip it into egg, coat it in the egg, and then you dip it into what I like is the Alessi Vigo breadcrumbs. The Alessi Vigo breadcrumbs. Coat them in those breadcrumbs. Are just so good. And you have your an olive oil in a shallow pan, olive oil, and then you just lightly fry them. Those are the best chicken. That coating, it's so much better than flour because it's the cheese and all the great. The Alessi breadcrumbs are amazing. And then you just put them on the paper towel, let them sit for a little bit. Oh, they are fantastic, and that's easy. You can do those in an air fryer too. But I think that the oil and everything, and the oil adds a little bit, but it's not bad. It's not like, the other grease or Crisco or whatever. I'm telling you, the best chicken finger recipe. And it's so easy. I make like 4 or 5 pounds of it and then stick it in the fridge for the whole week. You come back from pickleball, boom, you got them. They even taste good cold. I'm telling you.
Oh, I eat all the leftovers cold.
Yeah.
I'm a cold eater leftover.
There you go. That's a go-to, and I'm telling you, it never gets old. It never gets old. So now you got cooking advice on the show. I mean, what you got? Come on, you guys are getting everything today.
I've
You got a
spilled
Hall
too
of
much.
Famer. You got Casey. We're giving you chicken finger recipes.
You know, too much in my personal life now. Too much.
No, I think that's one of the best parts of the show. I think people would agree, except Casey, maybe.
She listens now. She listens.
Well, I hope she's laughing with us because these things are every couple goes through them. It's so fun. I absolutely. But if you're the person that cooks in the family like I do, well, then you get to buy the groceries. It's the old Bill Parcells thing. If you're going to cook, you get to buy the groceries.
And that's why I get zero say in the groceries.
Well, there you go.
In
So
fact,
start saying, hey, I got a great chicken finger recipe. I'm cooking them. Get your breadcrumbs, your olive oil, and your chicken. That's all you need. That's all you need. See, you can do your own thing. And then get Casey to learn. Here's another quick tip before we get to a break here. Make a big mess. So then she doesn't want you cooking anymore, and then teach her how to make them. Then she'll make them for you.
See, that would work, but that's so out of my DNA.
It's all.
I'm a cleaner while I cook.
Oh, that's good. I'm not.
I am very much so
at that.
cleaner while I cook. She's more messy in the kitchen than I am.
Oh,
in fact, she won't clean one dish.
While she cooks?
She won't. No, in general.
Just in general?
No, I handle dishes. That's the agreement. She cooks, I do dishes.
Well, then you flip it from time to time. That's fair. That's fair. All right, quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Levante David, who spoke yesterday. We'll give you a little Byron Leftwich as well. We'll talk some Bolts and some of the other NFL stories. And there's an interesting story out of the University of Florida. Their 5-star quarterback, Jalen Rashada, his NIL deal was just unbelievable. This is a crazy story, and it's the future of college football, people. Woohoo! Can't wait for this. And that's next year. We're brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center and the Jeeves Law Group. Stay with us.
JP here for Italiano Insurance. If you've started a side hustle during COVID and the business has grown, well, you need business insurance because if you get sued, you could lose all your personal wealth if you're not properly protected. That's right. Your home, your savings, everything could go. So get protected now. Call the great agents at Italiano Insurance, 813-877-7799, and a real human will answer the phone and get you protected. If you haven't shopped your business insurance in a while, you could be overpaying by thousands. One customer had their golf buddy handling his business insurance, then called Italiano to shop it around, and they saved him $26,000 a year. Yeah, so call 813-877-7799 or go to ItalianoInsurance.com. Italiano Insurance, protecting all the pieces of your life for over 60 years. Attention, if you are home shopping or looking for a refinance, and even if you already have the approval letter, you must call my man Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services. Scott has a brand new program available in the greater Tampa Bay area called the Community Advantage Loan Program. Get this, no money down, no mortgage insurance, no points, no origination fee, purchase or refinance, and loan amounts up to $647,000. Now, there are some application requirements. It must be a single-family home, 1 unit, primary residence, and have a minimum 640 credit score. The program only applies to certain neighborhoods, so you have to call to find out if you qualify. So call Scott Fitzgerald at 813-294-7595 or email him at scott@amstampa.com. Now, even if you don't qualify for that program, Scott will shop your loan around, get you the best rates, and won't charge you the huge upfront fees. And if you've had issues with your bank calling you back, Scott will return calls immediately or at least the same day. 813-294-7595 or email him, scott@amstampa.com. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
Well, it's that time of year to renew or shop your health insurance provider, and you can get great health insurance for $20, $30, $50 a month. Just call 888-325-0605 to help navigate the health insurance marketplace. 1 out of 3 people in Florida are uncovered because they think they can't afford it. Not true. I made the call a couple of years ago, and they helped me get Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage, Florida Blue, for just $20 a month. Last year, it went up to $49. Oh, well. It all depends on your income and your family situation. It's a free call, 888-325-0605. They will ask for some income information. So if you have your tax returns available, that will be great, but you don't need it. They'll just answer some simple questions, and the highly trained reps will do the work for you to find out what your subsidy will be. 888-325-0605. And if you have a plan through your employer, you may be able to get it cheaper. It's a free call, so find out, folks. This has been a lifesaver for me and saved me thousands of dollars over the last few years, and you can choose your plan. It's a no-brainer. Find out. Make the free call, 888-325-0605. Get covered like me and thousands of others, 888-325-0605.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center and the Jeeves Law Group, Italiano Insurance, the Gold and Diamond Source, AMS, American Mortgage Services Tampa, Scott Fitzgerald. If you're in the market for a refi or you're looking for a new home, prices have come down, and there's some interesting products on the market now as far as loans go. So don't get scared off by the higher interest payments. There will be some ways that Scott will find a way to keep your payment as low as possible. So give him a shot, Scott at AMS Tampa, Scott at AMSTampa.com. A couple things I want to get into here is the Lamar Jackson situation. So many Bucs fans are like, if Brady leaves, I want Lamar. He's not going anywhere. They're going to franchise tag him if anything comes to it, because they signed Roquan Smith, so they're good to use that franchise tag, and he'll play on that, I would think, for $50 million. I think for $50 million he'll come back and play. The question is he not playing now because of this injury? He hasn't played since week 13. He has a sprained PCL. We saw him, walking off the field or stumbling off the field, limping off the field. It's been 38 days since its injury, but the PCL is an injury. And heard Rob Ninkovich talking about this on Get Up on ESPN, that it just, it kind of got to heal itself, and it just takes time, and it keeps your knee stable. So, I mean, there's a very likely chance that he just can't play. And maybe they've been trying to play possum a little bit to, not let the Bengals know who's going to be playing quarterback. Cause obviously they score 12.5 points fewer when he's not playing. It's the difference between winning and losing. Anthony Brown is the third stringer that's probably going to get the call. He was the quarterback of record last week in the 27-16 loss to the Bengals. So I just think he's hurt and he's not going to be able to play. I don't think Lamar, he played this year without a contract. So when his teammates are looking for him to play and he's able to play, even if it's 80, 90%, I think he would be out there playing and practicing, but he's not. So it tells me that he's hurt. I don't think this is a contract thing.
No, but it still boggled me. They're going to a big, obviously, wild card game against the Bengals. It's a division rival. I believe they're playing it on the road. And I don't think Tyler Huntley's not throwing either. And I'm like, are the Ravens really going to have to go out there with Anthony Brown?
Yeah.
In a playoff game?
Yeah.
And I just keep thinking it kind of was like, man, if Lamar, how hurt is he? Can he really get out there? And if I have to think, we've on this show have spoken so highly of Lamar. I don't think there's any reason for anybody to speculate that he's trying to hold out here. Right. I don't think he's that guy at all. So I think he probably is really hurt if he can't even get out there and practice at this point.
And this goes back to the beginning of the season. And I know, he hasn't had an agent, but some of these quarterbacks are just misguided, I think, in a lot of different ways. All you need to do is look out the way Brady handled his business. And, I know Brady's a little bit of a different animal, but for Lamar, if you sign that contract at the beginning of the season, I think the reports that they offered him $180 million guaranteed. And it was a long-term deal that would pay him an average value of about $45 million a year. And they're not going to cut him, for God's sakes, unless he gets really injured.
I understand
$180 million guaranteed.
That's a lot of money. And what was it, $45 million a year, you said?
Yeah.
I understand it's like for us to all sit back and go, why wouldn't you take that? But in these quarterback deals, especially nowadays, it's all about what the other guy before you got. And you want to go over. And from his vantage point, Kyler Murray getting $50 million a year, which looks horrendous right now.
Of course.
Deshaun Watson getting that much money.
Yeah, these are contracts. Just because they got them doesn't mean they're right.
Doesn't mean they're right, but I'm just saying that from a player standpoint, they're always going to want more than that.
Yeah.
Always going to want more because Lamar probably feels those two guys haven't won an MVP before.
Right.
Those two guys don't have the win-loss record he's got in his career.
Right.
So I understand where Lamar's coming from.
But also, you have to be a realist about this. And Lamar is obviously a guy that is the best running quarterback in football by far, and that's a huge part of his game. And recently, it has taken a toll, and he's gotten injured. So I think it would be irresponsible on the part of the Ravens to guarantee that much money on a guy that has been, especially recently, not been able to play for you. And so I think that's responsible on their end. And it basically, the contract that was offered was like, look, if you stay healthy and you're playing for us, you're going to make $45 million a year. I mean, and that to me is like the top end. I know the cap's going up dramatically over the next few years, so that's part of it. But you also have to leave room, if you're a smart quarterback, to pay playmakers. You need more playmakers on that team. No question about it. You can't do it all yourself, Lamar. So, I think if you're smart, I would have taken that contract, seal up your, $180 million, for God's sakes, guaranteed. I mean, do you need more than that? I mean, that's generational wealth, and the chances are he's going to make much more than that over the length of his contract if he stays healthy and relatively healthy and is able to perform in the MVP level, which is fair to expect.
And this is the risk that he though by not taking that now, because
that's what I'm saying.
So I get it from that. I mean, I think Dak had something similar going on with the whole Dallas. Like, then he got hurt. Now I don't know how much that really cost Dak. He ended up getting $40 million.
In the end, probably not much, but I think it wasn't worth the risk. I think it's the way Lamar played, it's not worth the risk. But so this was bound to happen to get to this point because he didn't, and now it's all noise. You're not going into the playoffs. I mean, look at the teams that are rolling into the playoffs. All right, the Chiefs. They got any of this stuff going on? Nope. The Eagles got some stuff going on. The 49ers, they're playing a third string quarterback, but nobody's bitching and moaning about Brock Purdy.
No,
because he's playing his ass off like I thought he would. Those are the teams that you look at that are, the Bucs are going into the playoffs having a really uneven season. It's unreasonable to expect they're going to flip some switch and they're going to suddenly, Brady's going to go on this run. But if anybody can do it, it's Brady, right? So he's a different cat. So, but reasonable people would not expect, an 8-9 team to make a run. You might beat a Cowboys team that's trending down. Would be an unbelievable win, crazy win. But are you really then going to go on the road and go through Philadelphia and San Francisco? Probably not. So, do look at the teams that are hot coming in. The 49ers are what the Chargers did last week. They played their starters, and look what happened. Bosa got hurt. Mike Williams got hurt. Knucklehead. It's not only by the grace of God, the same thing didn't happen to the Bucs because we played it basically the same way. Silly. So, those are teams that just aren't going to do anything in the playoffs. Now, we saw the Bengals last year kind of come from nowhere, but they were playing well, right? Joe Burrow was hot, and he remained hot. So, I don't think you can say Brady's been on a roll like Joe Burrow was last year. No. So, to me, those are the teams that are going to be successful in this postseason. What do you know? Because I've read a couple of things about Jalen Rashada. You were telling me before the show that he was offered $13.3 million as his NIL deal at Florida, and that took him away from Miami. Tell me what you know about this story.
Yeah, it came out yesterday from the Orlando Sentinel. Edgar Thompson, who covers the Gators there, wrote the story. And I'm trying to get the excerpt here. He said that Rashada, after an NIL agreement for around $13 million was not honored, he decided to seek to get his letter of intent removed from the University of Florida. The source said the situation is beyond repair. The deal was made so that Rashada persuaded him to flip his commitment from Miami to Florida on November 10th, and then attend the Gators game against South Carolina. So it doesn't look like we have a reason why the Florida hasn't honored it, but clearly that's what happened here, though.
Is this the future of college football?
It's so bizarre. 13 million. Like, we have it here from the Orlando Sentinel. 13 million this guy was offered to persuade him to not go to Miami.
Okay, this is an update from 247, our Fan Nation, from Zach Goodall 17 hours ago. Harlan Rashada, the father of Gators quarterback signee Jaden Rashada, told Brandon Huffman at 247 Sports that the 2023 signature caller has not requested a release from his signed letter of intent with UF. as reported by On3 Sports on Wednesday. Quarterback Jaden Rashada reportedly requested to be released from his signed national letter of intent, according to Pete Nakos of On3 Sports. All Gators cannot confirm Nakos' reporting, however. Multiple sources have indicated that the possibility of Rashada did not enroll at the University of Florida as planned on Monday. So he didn't enroll. Nakos suggested in his report that Rashada held a call with Florida Athletic Director Scott Strickland on Wednesday to request the release. However, Nick De La Torre on On3 Sports site Gators Online later reported that the call never happened. Wow. So what the hell is going on here? If he's not enrolled, that's the deal right there. We can come and go with all these different reports, but if he's not enrolled, that's going to be a problem. And I mean, is this a deal where, teams, either you sign a letter of intent because you've been, and this is the other thing about NIL. Are they signing these deals? Are they making contracts with these players? Because clearly, if you're switching your commitment to a team and because of an NIL deal and you haven't signed a contract for that, that's dumb on your part.
Yeah.
This is so much about this. This is so out there that we don't know.
I don't know what to make of it. It's coming from the Orlando Sentinel, which is a very credible newspaper.
Right,
credible newspaper. And then, the dad comes out and says that. And then you have all these other people that it's all misinformation. I have no idea anymore. And this is kind of the worry, though, when it came to all this NIL stuff. Nobody really knows what's going on here. We have an idea, but nobody knows everything.
Yeah, national letters of intent are public. They're documents. Okay, you know where somebody's going. These NIL deals are completely private, and we don't know the numbers on them. We don't know, who's paying them. There's a lot of unknowns here, and it's directly against NCAA rules, which is stupid. I get it, but man, another one of those stories which is this the future of college football? And at least in the NFL, where the salary cap is. When the free agent window is.
Yeah.
Your team guys can change players. None of these safeguards in college football now. It's the wild west, and something has got to be done. There's got to be done. Something's got to be done so that coaches. I mean, look at the University of Florida. This is the future of their team, right? This is going to be the guy, and you don't know whether he's coming or he's not coming. Is he getting the money? Is he not getting the money? The player doesn't know. This is just beyond bizarre. Beyond bizarre. If this is the future of college football, no wonder so many college coaches are going, no, thank you. No, thank you. Even Kevin Warren, the commissioner of the Big Ten, which seems to be the cushiest job in the world, is now going to be the president of the Bears, is leaving the Big Ten after getting their big media rights deal and going to the Bears as their president, Kevin Warren. So, yeah, it's weird stuff. We need to take one more break.
Yeah, we need one more break.
All right, quick break. We'll come back and we'll finish everything up here. A couple of other notes on, I may even give you a basketball note here. USF, the team played pretty well last night. It gets the number one team in the nation. Stay with us. Quick break.
Are you concerned your spouse might be cheating or want to locate a long-lost relative or love? Or a missing person and the police are not helping? An insurance adjuster who needs proof of injury. Hi, I'm Rachel D'Antonio from Tampa Bay's premier private investigation agency, Emerging Investigation. We have a proven track record of results. Local attorneys and insurance companies hire us to discover insurance fraud and crucial information in criminal cases. We can help in custody matters, and we devote a tremendous state-of-the-art technology and cutting-edge industry surveillance techniques to get you trusted results. Larger corporate agencies can be more expensive and do not offer the personal level of customer service and interaction that we pride ourselves on. We are a family-owned business. Our professional experience team includes my son, lead investigator Zach D'Antonio, a former collegiate athlete, and my daughter Emily, who leads our in-house investigations team. Don't take matters into your own hands by trying to install snooping programs on phones or GPS trackers. That can cause unneeded stress and give you inaccurate results. Go with the professionals at Emerging Investigations. We have proven results and tremendous testimonials from our satisfied customers. Call for a free consultation and we can discuss how we can help. Peace of mind is as valuable as bad news. Just go to our website, emerginginv.com, or call 813-291-FACT. That's emerginginv.com. We're Emerging Investigations. We get results in life's biggest matters.
Was your car totaled in an accident? Did your insurance company use Kelley Blue Book or NADA to appraise the value of your car? Chances are they didn't, and you got shorted maybe thousands of dollars. Call the Jeeves Law Group for a free case evaluation because your insurance company may still owe you money. 727-894-2929. It's a free call, so why not find out if you have a case? Insurance companies have been running this scam for a while, and most folks don't know if they've been shorted. Trust me. Scott Jeeves is a different kind of attorney, the kind insurance companies hate to go up against. He could recover thousands of dollars, so why not call? 727-894-2929 or go to JeevesLawGroup.com. That's JEEVES lawgroup.com and tell them JP sent you.
Pure sports. JP is back on.
Welcome back.
FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to JP Peterson Show. Don't forget, you still have a couple days left to get your health insurance from the marketplace. And if you need some help with that, you have highly trained reps that will help you with that and figure out what your subsidy is. Just call 888-325-0605. You can get Blue Cross Blue Shield coverage. You can pick your plan. There's a lot of different plans you can go with. But I got the Florida Blue, and I paid $49 a month last year. So it depends on your income. If you have your tax returns available for some questions, that'll be good. If not, they'll still be able to figure it out for you. 888-325-0605. Take about 15, 20 minutes. They'll do the application over the phone, and you'll find out right then what your subsidy will be. So even if you have an employer contributed plan, you may find you get better health insurance for cheaper. 888-325-0605 is the number. All right, courtesy of our good friend Greg Auman out at Bucks practice today. Carlton Davis was there, Mike Edwards, Robert Hainsey practicing. That's good. Donovan Smith, Carl Nassib, Julio Jones, Keanu Neal, Logan Ryan, all practicing. And Vita Vea was out there. Kyle Rudolph, no. Nobody cares.
Hey, he got a touchdown now. Come on now.
He did. Finally, I caught one from Brady. That was part of the deal. But Vita Vea did show up a little bit out there, though. And Jensen continued to practice for a third week. Bucks have to activate him by Wednesday, the deadline next Wednesday. But obviously, I think he gets activated this week. They didn't go through all this shenanigans for nothing, right?
It kind of feels like they might have been targeting this week all along. And that's why I'm telling you, like, I know there's been a lot of vague responses, but I'm kind of feeling a little bit more optimistic right now.
You think, the Bucks love that extra offensive lineman package. They usually used to bring in Josh Wells.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's when they were running the ball pretty well.
How about a little package of Ryan Jensen? Big red lining up at tight end.
Big red at tight.
I
don't think when he comes back he'll be lining up at
a little overload to the left, little big red.
Yeah, I don't
think blocks down in the 4th and 1 situation, then little releases out into the flat. Brady throws a touchdown to Big Red. Oh, yeah. To win the game. Imagine that. And then like Jensen drops it. Everybody will be like, "Oh, it's a terrible call. What are you doing? What are you?" Like, guy's wide open. Would that be fitting for this season? It would be fitting, but it would also be fitting if he caught it, right? And there's like, Bucks win. That would be amazing. All right. By the way, Atlanta has been chosen for a possible AFC Championship game. Why not Atlanta? Right, Mercedes-Benz Stadium. If the Bills and the Chiefs make it, they'll play in Atlanta.
I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
And everybody says this is the future. We're going to have neutral site games for the AFC and NFC. I don't like it. We don't need that.
Well,
we don't need that. Home field advantage is important.
Well, this is down to the DeMar Hamlin. It's because of the DeMar Hamlin because that game was taken away. So
I know, but
I don't have to like it though.
No, I don't like
it. I just like straight up like I hate neutral site games. I hate neutral site games for any sport.
Corporate.
I hate
corporate.
It.
Yeah.
I think it's ruined college football to an extent. I hate it.
Yeah, when we go to the playoff, all these games are going to be neutral site games.
And I hate how it's always the same damn stadiums. It's always these freaking stadiums that just are built newer and they just look plastic.
Yeah,
and I don't even like Mercedes-Benz. The lighting sucks.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, then when you get those shadows coming over the field with the windows, it's terrible. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
But that's what's going to happen. Anything else we missed today? I think that's about it. All right, good. Thank you very much, Rondé Barber, for joining us for the first 20 minutes of the show. If you missed that, fantastic interview with him on the Hall of Fame and breaking down the Bucs Cowboys. Great tape study on that. We talked a little golf with the Valspar as well. So if you missed that, go back and watch it on our YouTube station, the JP Peterson Show. You can watch it on Twitter. You watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on Facebook, and also our website, fanstreamsports.com. Have a great day, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow with our picks for Bucs and Cowboys. You don't want to miss that and much more. See you then.